All right, welcome back to Totally Clutch. This is the Clutch Businesses podcast and vlog. I'm Angie Viehman, your host, and today we're going to be talking about how to grow your business using email marketing. So this is one of my favorite tools. I know that everybody is heavily focused on social media and posting and generating engagement and all of that kind of stuff. And I know that a lot of business owners are also focused on growing their email list and understand the importance of that. And so what we're going to talk about today is how to harness that list that you've spent so much time and so much energy creating, and how to harness it to generate sales and grow your business. So today we've got Brianna Sexton with us. So she's with Brianna Sexton and Company, and she focuses on email marketing. So this is her specialty. So she's going to tell us all about it. So welcome to the show, Brianna.
Welcome, or thank you.
Well, I am welcome to be here also. Okay, great. So Brianna, do you want to tell us a bit about your background and the work that you do?
Sure. So a little bit about me. My running spiel is I'm a dog mom. I love French fries. I love tea and Alice in Wonderland references. And if you ever look at anything I do, normally you will see all of that. But when I started, I went to school for all things that were digital marketing before I think digital marketing was like the buzzword for it. So I got a degree in rhetoric and professional writing and marketing. And then I thought, how can I use this going forward? Because I didn't want to be attached to a desk and I didn't want to do all those things. And so I took it and I started a business basically. And I started doing web copy and all the things that I really could, and social media for businesses and nonprofits, and realized that wasn't where I wanted to be. And then I fell into a group coaching program, as falling happens. And all of them were asking questions about email marketing. And so that's kind of where I got started. And it was really just researching and answering questions and then deep diving into this really fun field. And now what I focus on most is with the people that I work with is creating lifetime client relationships. So taking that entire process of not just building the list, because I think that's where a lot of people focus on, but taking that and then figuring out, okay, how do I keep them on my list? How do I keep them engaged? How do I nurture these relationships? Because that's really what email marketing is about.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you've hit it on the head already for me. For me, what I love so much about email marketing is just you spend so much time growing this list. And I think every small business owner is told, grow your list, grow your list, grow your list, your email list. And they're not really told what to do after that, right? So I think it's so awesome. I think it's so cool that that's what you focus on, because I think that there are a lot of people that just that need that, right? And they're just not, they're aware. They're like, I grew this list and now what? So so cool. Well, before we dive too far, do you mind just telling us, like giving a quick overview of what email marketing is?
Sure. So for me, the way that I look at email marketing is, I like to use analogies, so I'm going to use this one. Email marketing for me is kind of like inviting people to a party and then hosting it in your own space. So to translate that in business terms, email marketing is essentially just building customer relationships in their inbox, and providing them relevant information that not only helps engage and give them value, but also allows you to create a platform where you can sell. Mm-hmm. So it's both sides of that, marketing and sales, but it doesn't have to be as old age advertising as I think a lot of people make it. And now there's that whole push for hairy scary and does it feel salesy and gross and all those things. But at its core, it's relevant information that you're giving people into their inbox that they're signing up for.
Yeah, great. Yeah, cool. So I know we've kind of talked a little bit about how people are not using email marketing right now. So generating a list, but not really doing anything with it. So the people that are using it and maybe not using it to its full potential still, how does that, or what do most people use, or what does email marketing look like for most companies? So I'm thinking like before they work with somebody like you, what does it look like? What are they doing?
Most of the people that I've worked with, I'm just based on that experience, a lot of it is they build their list and they send out information, right? Because that's about the extent that people say is you build your list and then you send out consistent emails. Mm-hmm. And so it's normally to an entire general list, the same content, not hitting all the same points. Some of them may have a nurture sequence, as far as that's concerned, to welcome people in. And then after that, they have some idea or semblance, and they're trying to sell in their emails, but they're not sure when to sell. And the way that they're selling, it comes off rather jarringly.
Yeah.
Because they're putting out value-based content, and then all of a sudden it's like buy for a week, and they're like, when did this happen? So it becomes this jarring process, and then it's that frustrating cycle of doing it all over again, hoping that you're going to get sales within your email. Is a lot of what I see.
Yeah, so I'll use your reference or your example of for you, email marketing is like a party. You're welcoming people into your home and hosting these conversations and things like that. So that's the idea of email marketing, or that's email marketing at its best. And maybe email marketing with opportunities is like kind of like a getting invited without knowing, and all of a sudden you're sitting down to talk about a $10,000 or $20,000 timeshare and you had no idea, right? So that's kind of like what you're seeing before how people are using email marketing before they work with somebody like you.
Yeah, it's kind of like that surprise party that gets thrown together at the last minute, and they're like, it happened. The person liked it, right?
Yeah.
Everyone survived. There was no food poisoning. Yeah, and then after working with me, so I have like this system that I like to use. I call it a tea party. And it's focusing on that invite so they know what they're coming into. Mm-hmm. And then like planning all of the entertainment, because at a wedding, at any type of party, people talk about food, people talk about the music, right? The experience that they had overall. And then at the end, there's this ask, whether it's in a direct sales party or a tea party or whatever, there's an invitation and an appreciation that leads to an action. So that's kind of like the system that I think done right is a whole lot easier. But it also allows for extra communication and a more fun experience.
Can you give us like a specific example of kind of this tea party idea and what that would look like for somebody's sequence?
Sure. So the sequence is more the E or the entertainment portion of it. But the overall, I'll do big overall. So starting with the invite, this is all the touch points where people come in. So for us, it may be our podcast where we say, hey, if you want more insider tips, go ahead and join our email list where you'll get XYZ, right? Making it very specific that this is the who, where, what, when, why, and how of the party that you're coming to, right? And then from that point, they opt in, and that's where we get into the engagement and the entertainment. And so building that part is really understanding all of the touch points that led people to come in. So if you are a business to business, or you're kind of like, for me, email marketing, teaching people how to use email marketing, it may be that that entire nurture sequence is, I know how my audience is struggling with building like, know, and trust within that first sequence. So I'm going to put together a sequence that builds my authority on all of the thoughts and the objections that other people are going to have to build that experience. So I might talk about like, know, and trust and what that means, and getting over like how to tell a story while building authority and building like, know, and trust, and what like, know, and trust means separately, and how to establish authority and expertise, and to do it in a way that doesn't feel salesy, and what salesy really means, to take them on this journey to then, after they get to that point, then the next part of their journey happens, the next part of their transformation, whether it's providing an offer, whether it's sending them to a resource, what have you. So that's kind of the engagement part. And then at that end of sequence is that ask or that action, which allows them to either say yes or no to the next part of whatever that looks like working with you.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. So you're kind of using, in some ways, I mean, I think a lot of people are familiar with sales psychology in business. And so it sounds like you're using kind of sales psychology. So you're figuring out, doing some research to figure out what their common objectives or objections are going to be, and maybe what the problem is that they're trying to solve. And so you're addressing that. You're giving them some information to show them that you're on their side, that you're there for them, and you're there for them whether they buy from you or not, right? Because you're not selling anything to them quite yet. But once you get them kind of comfortable and familiar, and talk them through kind of all of the issues that they might bring to the table, or all of the concerns that they might bring to the table, then you've got an option for them that they can choose or not choose.
Yes. So
Okay.
sales psychology is super huge in this whole process. And I think a little bit, for me, just like throwing my background in there, the technical writing, it's about creating that spirit experience, that user experience, and really understanding like how the platform works as far as like building connections in an intimate way, and then also understanding like the process that happens, that needs to happen, also influences the other things. So it's the feeling that you get being in the platform, plus the feeling that you get having somebody kind of keep you accountable throughout that process.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's I think a really important point to make too, is that, so I think, probably a lot of people watching or listening to this have seen those like massive flow charts of an email sequence that are just like, I mean, even for me, I love that stuff, and it's overwhelming to look at that. But so these massive flow charts and these massive sequences, and so I think we've used the word sequence a few times: nurture sequence, welcome sequence, all of that kind of stuff. It's basically just a chain of emails that are triggered off of a certain event that's sent to somebody automatically. So like Brianna was saying, you've got somebody that opts in to something that you posted on your podcast, and so that they came in through that podcast. And you can, in a lot of the programs that are available now, you can tag them by their interests. And so you're not just, and Brianna, you had mentioned this at the beginning, that I think the old way of email marketing was to just send out a newsletter once a month, or to everybody on your list, right? So whether they're interested or not in what you're talking about, they're going to get it. And all of most of the programs, the email programs that are available now, allow you to really specify somebody's interests. I think that's why email marketing to me is so exciting now, is that you can really specify people's interests, and then you can talk directly to those people, instead of like these, here's what I do, and here's what's going on, and here are the events that we have coming up. Like, sure, people might be interested in those, but the people that are really going to listen are the people that specifically that event or class or whatever specifically caters to.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. When I was working with nonprofits, even just doing social media and like seeing all the events, and I was like, wait, what does your email look like? And it was just like any event that they came to, they all came onto the same list, and I'm like, well, how do you know which ones want like grant information versus all of this other stuff? And then I was like, and you wonder why your open rates are really low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like going to the dentist when you need to go see your OBGYN. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a great example. It's yeah, and I mean, I guess so. That brings up another point: open rates. So not only are you creating noise for people that don't want to listen, if you're just sending out these blanket emails, you're also impacting your open rate. And do you want to share a little bit about why that matters? So, what impact a low open rate has to your marketing efforts?
Wow, that's a really big question. So the biggest part, I think, is if your open rates are really low, then it really doesn't matter if you're spending a whole lot of time with your content because people aren't opening it. Mentally, that's like super draining as a business owner when you know that you have really valuable content and you're in a space where you have a service or you have a product that you can provide and nobody's getting to it. But it also, the less relevant content that you have leading to those open rates, and open rates are just based on the number of people that you have on your list, the number of people who actually open them, for those who are new to email marketing.
Yeah.
But that also affects your deliverability. So if you are sitting in a place where you had really high open rates and people are coming in and they're reading your content, along with like SEO or visibility on Facebook and whatever algorithms they have, the system picks up on that and says, oh, people are opening this. I'm going to put this in your primary folders.
Yeah.
Whereas the less that people are opening, the more people are unsubscribing, just keeping those in there, then whatever email service providers being like Gmail or Yahoo or what are the other ones? Outlook. Those types of...
I was going to say Hotmail.
Hotmail, yes,
Yeah.
I have one of those. But it looks at it because AI is really good at screening things now, and it says, people aren't really opening that, so we're going to push it towards the other folder. We're going to push it towards the spam folder, towards the promotions folder. And then people don't even see the efforts that you're putting in because they're stuck in this other folder that basically Gmail or Outlook or Google or Yahoo has determined that you don't want to see anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's awesome too. So you brought up another really great point that, I mean, we were talking about open rates, but if you're sending stuff to people that, again, is not relevant to them and their interests, they're also probably more likely to unsubscribe.
It messes with relationships, which is why I focus a lot with people on like building that journey and understanding their customers' needs. And then in the intricacy of all of that strategy is the tags and creating segments and different lists and communities, I guess, within your email list so that you have relevant information and enough information that you can say, these people are coming to me because they want events on X versus these people just want to listen to my podcast and get information on how to build their business. So I think that's huge as relevancy as far as keeping that relationship alive.
I really think we have absolutely just scratched the surface of what you can do with email marketing, but hopefully it gives you some insight that there is more. You can be doing more with what you already have. And I'm going to put Brianna's website up here so you can find her if you're interested in working with her, and finding out more about how you can harness the power of what you've already created and what you've already built. So you can reach her or find her at briannasexton.com. And yeah, I thank you so much. It's been really incredible. And I obviously love this topic and would love to talk about it until we're blue in the face. But I think we've given enough to kind of whet people's appetites. So thank you, Brianna. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Angie, for having me. This has been awesome.